In sixth grade, I had a fantastic Chumash teacher. I don't remember so much we learned that year. It was 30 years ago. But one thing that I continue to remember to this day is a Ramban on one pasuk that we learned. Why do I remember that Ramban? Because my Rebbe jumped up on his chair and he yelled one word from the Ramban. But he brought such passion, such excitement to that day that all the school days of that year, I don't even remember sitting in class. But 30 years later, that Ramban and that image of my Rebbe on the chair yelling the words from the Ramban with excitement, that's something that I have never forgotten. And there's a very similar message in this week's Parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu says to Klal Yisrael on behalf of Hashem, he says, Rak hishomer lecho shmor nafshecha ma'od. Be very, very careful. Pen tishkach es hadvarim asher ro'u einecha. Don't forget what you saw, what you heard at Har Sinai. Don't allow it to be forgotten. Yom asher amadat lifnei Hashem Elokecha b'chol rev. That day that you stood at Har Sinai. Asher yilmedun, I'm skipping a few words. Asher yilmedun lira usi kol hayamim. And from that you will always know, you will always learn to fear me. There's something very profound in these psukim. Moshe Rabbeinu was basically telling Klal Yisrael, we learned important information at Har Sinai. But in addition to that, Har Sinai was also a powerful experience. And as much as I want you to remember the Torah that you're being taught, I also want you to remember what the experience was like. And every Rebbe has to remember this when they're teaching. There's a lot of information that we spend so much time preparing to give over great content. But at the same time, the way that the content is given over, the experience, the learning experience, is something that's going to stick with the children, with our Talmidim, with our Chavrusas, perhaps many, many years after they've unfortunately forgotten some of the Torah that we've taught. I know from my own personal experience, I've had Rebbeim that their lasting impression on me is not a Tosfos that they taught me. Unfortunately, I don't remember a lot of the actual Torah that they taught. But it was the experience of sitting and learning by them. It was the Yira Shamayim, the Asher Yilmedun Lira Osi Kol Hayamim. It was the experience of learning Torah. It was the Maamad Har Sinai that I experienced in the classroom. And it's those types of memories, that Yira Shamayim that a person acquires, that sticks with them sometimes many years after the information has been forgotten. So that's the job of a Rebbe. And it's something also that, coming from the perspective of a Talmud, that a Talmud takes the most from the Rebbeim. Sometimes when we choose our Rebbeim, we sometimes choose based on the content that they're giving over. But we also have to take account of the experience of learning by a person. So this is a message from this week's Parsha, that we learn a lot of Torah, but we also have to make sure that the experience of learning Torah is something that's equally powerful and equally impactful.